Uglies is the latest film on Netflix now from director Mick G, but is it worth your time? Welcome Cinema, where we focus on a film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Uglies. Was it good, was it bad, or somewhere right in the middle? Or if you're waiting for this review to help you decide if you're going to see it or not, make sure to like this video if you enjoy it, subscribe if you're ready to join in film culture community where we talk about the love of cinema as a whole. So getting right into the synopsis. In a futuristic society formed between uglies and pretties where cosmetic surgery is required, the ultimate form of rebellion is being yourself. Getting right into positive, overall this story goes about a compelling tale building up this dystopian world about uglies versus pretties and the cosmetic surgery that goes on within, and just the messages and themes that goes about along the way to be yourself. It's rather simple for the messages it's compounding on, but it does its job effectively and builds upon its cast with quite an intriguing way of telling its premise. It may not be the most original, but the way it still goes about it draws me into the world that they establish, they build up, making some interesting grounds with what they're doing with the wordplay or the ideas of the language and the characters and culture. Joey King is just really good with what she brings out of the main role, and what we get out of who she's in relationship with does its own fair job with the setting and taking you into the city, both within where you begin when you're an ugly and then also going into where the pretties are transformed. It's a futuristic look that really establishes what I can really get appealed to with this film, how it establishes the grounds. I'm a big sci-fi movie buff, and so getting into this one, it just sold me on what it's getting out of. It didn't feel disappointing by regards to being classified as one of the bad Netflix films and not really feeling too ideal with what it's doing with its story. And so it's just something that really won me over. It's simple and doesn't necessarily ask for too much, but at the same time, it builds upon its themes with an interesting nature that drew me into the nature of what it's doing about teaching people to be themselves, and also the idea of governmental control, societal power, and what that means when you're going out and exploring to look at what we do in our natural everyday lives without feeling too close to home, making it uncomfortable or trying to be attack on us as a society today, but a potential look at the future if we're too wrapped up into technology, feeling degraded by what people judge us for. And so just the general idea, the essence of the themes and where we're going on throughout with that, it looks believable by the psychological nature that they're getting into. It's like dissecting the human mind and how we sometimes can be trapped by the nature of what we feel people are thinking about us. And another positive I have to mention is just where it ends up with the film. That ending could be interpreted in multiple ways, and that's something that I love about films sometimes, and I think this performs it effectively with what Joey King's character does, her choice leading to this step or this step. I'm not going to spoil what is all going on in where I'm talking about, but if you choose to watch it and where it all goes about, I'm just really surprised with the direction it chooses to take, ends you on a sharp note just like that, and makes you begin to think, oh, what really just happened with her final decision and how that establishes her as a character, making you question multiple things throughout of what you all experienced leading on through, leading you to wonder where she made particular movement and choices, her motivations you have to question as a whole, which really speaks a lot to the wordplay that was utilized earlier on in the movie, giving it a big surprise ending as a whole. And And so going right into the next elements, of course it's a more simple story, it's grounded, it may not take too many big risks with its messaging, even if it does it effectively. Some people may not be as connected to it or feel it's as original as they want it to be, and so the directing, while it is good, some of the environment isn't as creative, or it leads you into some of the more uninteresting areas with its setting, whereas we get this place of the uglies and pretties, but there's a decent amount of time where it spends its time within Earth, that is the form of nature of Earth, and it doesn't feel as colorful or have much to say, and make use of some more creative or lovely places of Earth to make the cinematography look better. It just takes this wood setting and doesn't make it look as appealing as it could be. Then what we get spending time in the cities, in different places like that. So just how that goes about, it's not necessarily a takeaway from the film as a whole, but it does remove you from some of the more interesting, some places that you might want to spend more time with within what it's trying to tackle with its story. But going into the negatives, there's some aspects about the relationship that Joey King's character gets into that doesn't feel like it's as compelling, or it's just added in there just to add a romance that doesn't fully work for the story. The first one sort of does, the general idea of where you're headed leading into it, but then there's another romance she gets into later on that feels kind of thrown in there, doesn't necessarily have a natural flow with the ideas, what we end up taking out of that at the end of the day. And so it goes about a roundabout way of doing certain particular things that are interesting enough, but not fully engaging to the plot, what we're taking out of those particular characters. There's some bits of dialogue here and there that just don't feel too natural, things with the themes that doesn't feel like it's going all in and full force, to where at the beginning, when you're not necessarily understanding what the film is fully about, what it's going into, it feels like it has a couple turn-off moments of what you're feeling about how you're getting judged or how these characters are reacting to certain situations. It's a sort of uncomfortable society that puts you into, and some of it could be the psychological nature of what it's trying to speak on it with its theme, but there's certain moments where it's just too head-on with what it's wanting to do, even though it's not touching it in a delicate or sensitive manner that works for what we're getting out of the plot, where we're leading forward with what they're spending time with in order to look toward the future. And you're not necessarily getting too much ideal look into how the city works that the pretties are living in, and what makes them particular appealing characters if they are going into the city becoming pretties. And so there must be some nature, some split side to not everyone being a stagnant personality once they become a pretty, which really takes a lot at certain aspects to the culture that we're not getting to dive into fully. And so that's just my personal thoughts on The Uglies, which I have to rate as simply 7 out of 10. So that's just all. Make sure to like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't already, so we can join a film culture community where we talk about the love of cinema as a whole. Make sure to comment down below your thoughts on Uglies. Is it good? Is it bad? Or somewhere right in the middle? Make sure to do all that, and be sure to do yourself a favor and go watch a movie.